I'm Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the Federation Starship Enterprise. How can we be prepared for that which we do not know? But I do know we are ready to encounter it.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. That's why we're out here.
Your Honor, Starfleet was founded to seek out new life. Well, there it sits. This is about saving the future of humanity.
Things are only impossible until they're not.
Yes, sir.
The first duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth, whether it's scientific truth, or historical truth, or personal truth. It is the guiding principle on which Starfleet is based. Come.
I am Locutus of Borg.
Tea Earl Grey, hot.
Make it so.
Captain, I have complete confidence in your ability to represent my interests.
Oh, Data. You never know what's over the horizon.
To new worlds, sir.
To new worlds.
Engage.
Hello and welcome to Picard Parsec, a podcast about the CBS All Access series Picard. I'm Travis Fishburne.
I'm Ryan DeVere.
And I'm Joel Houghton.
And this week we'll be covering Season 1, Episode 8, Broken Pieces. So, not a whole lot going on in the world today, just I think Star Trek is what people are excited about right now.
This Picard and this podcast, I think, are top of mind for the entire nation. I can't imagine anything else people would be distracted by.
Everyone's lining up, trying to get all the food they can so they can just binge watch Picard.
Yeah.
Yeah, catch up.
That's why.
It's a good time to catch up.
And they need all the toilet paper because the show is complete. No, I'm just... not that. No.
Trying to get bleeped again. Yeah, a lot going on in the world, but...
NFL free agency started today. I'm sure you guys are on top of that.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, there you go.
Does that have to do with the draft?
No, a bunch of people's contracts expired. And so they're officially allowed to start signing. You can sign with anybody in the league starting today.
Oh,
so that's always a big day.
People all vying for the GOAT?
If you mean Tom Brady, it's...
Oh, I know. I meant the literal GOAT that plays football.
Is there a GOAT that plays football?
No, I mean Tom Brady.
No. Okay. It looks like it's only going to be the Patriots or the Buccaneers.
Oh.
Which is interesting. Nobody else is really cares about a 42-year-old guy who can't really play football anymore. That's interesting to me. I will keep you guys posted. We'll do a little sports corner if you want on the,
do that.
On the Picard
There's going to be
Parsec.
lots of sports news in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure.
It will be who does Tom Brady sign with?
Couldn't have
That'll
picked
be
a better time to start the news corner.
That'll be the news.
You can do some like Madden simulation like games.
I could do that. Yeah.
Oh man, I wish like NFL Blitz was still a thing, and you could run like two simulation.
It's probably going to come back.
And then you could just have a podcast dedicated to like covering the game, or like probably more of like a YouTube channel or something.
Yeah.
Of like just announcing for the game as it's played by simulations.
Yeah. For NFL Blitz.
NFL Blitz, NBA Jam. Those are like the two sports games I remember actually playing.
Right.
The good ones.
Midway presents NFL Blitz!
And there's the company that makes Blitz just signed a contract with the NFL again, but Madden is going to be the only simulation game.
Okay.
And so there's a good chance that they bring Blitz back.
As like an arcade version of the...
Yeah, because it's not a simulation.
No, it is
Would
not.
be amazing to have.
It's very not.
To have NFL Blitz on.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great game. And it definitely ties into Picard.
Yeah, it does. Because this episode's called Broken Pieces.
And after you played Blitz, your quarterback
is in pieces.
Was in a bunch of broken pieces.
I was gonna try the route of like simulation and. Synthetic human.
I was thinking holodeck stuff.
AI and. I mean, we could circle it back in a couple.
Do you think
ways.
Can they play sports in a holodeck?
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely. You can do anything in a holodeck. I was thinking about that today. I'm like, it'd be so awesome if holodecks were a real thing right now.
Which does beg
You
the
could
question,
have
like
your own Chateau Picard office.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You could have anything.
What, like, yeah, Rios was practicing soccer the other episode, and it was just in the hall.
Yeah.
Like, he could have been anywhere. He could have been in an open field, or yeah.
Well, Picard's using the holodeck
I guess so, but
to
it's
watch
more
birds
just a
out the
room.
window.
And yell at people. That's
Yeah.
mostly what he does there. Is like look confused and then yell at people.
Yell at people. Yeah. What a guy.
So what was your guys' takeaway from this episode?
I really liked it.
Yeah?
And I liked it even, I think, better on the second time I watched it, too. I think a lot of the things, like, stood out, and I think the character of Picard stands out more in this episode. He's, like, I think more in line with kind of like the Picard that we have in our mind.
More
I like a
traditional.
lot of the things that he said in this, a lot of the conversations, and actually getting to know characters and kind of leading more.
Yeah. This did follow more of a traditional Star Trek kind of. Most of what happened is all on board. It all is interpersonal conversations and finding out tidbits, and that all kind of culminates to push the plot forward. Yeah, like especially the second half of this episode, Picard. It seems like his duality. Like we've had a couple different versions of Picard throughout, and he seems to have like kind of settled into, all right, we've got the better version of Picard back. Hopefully, I hope that's consistent.
Because they have been consistent in their writing.
If I could say one thing, the writing has been consistent. I thought this was a fun episode. Last episode is probably still my favorite. We got Riker, we got Deanna, Kestra. I just thought it was a nice breather. Yeah, it was a different pace. It felt nostalgic. But this episode, I finally buy that the La Serena is actually like some sort of crew. They're actually all together in this, and not just different elements thrown in one place.
Yeah, I would agree with that too, especially near the end there.
Yeah.
For me, though, the whole Rios arc was a complete miss for me.
Yeah?
As far as, like, him just being sad with this backstory with, what's his captain's name? Vandermeer?
Vandermeer, yep.
Elvis Vandermeer.
Is it Elvis?
I don't think so.
I'm sure you have it in your notes. You'll read it. Alonzo Vandermeer, the most made-up name you've ever heard in your life. Alonzo Vandermeer. That... Oh, man. That sounds like the victim of a murder in, like, a whodunit, like a Knives Out type. Who killed Alonzo Vandermeer? But... I just didn't care.
He did.
He
put the gun in his mouth.
Alonzo killed him, yeah. I just didn't... It was a miss for me. I didn't care, especially since we had Rafi there, like, trying to help him. We can talk about it when we get it. It was just a miss, and that was most of the episode.
That was a lot of
that. That was a huge chunk of the episode. It just didn't feel like Rios to me. Like, he's supposed to be this tough guy who's sort of detached from everything, and I get that could be like a mask that he puts on, but it didn't line up with who Rios has been. It was sort of an unconvincing story. I don't know. It was a miss, and it was most of it.
I liked that part, and I think it was like a callback to what he spoke about when he was introduced in episode 3, I believe, where he talks about his previous captain having his brains like spewed out all over a bulkhead.
Yeah,
he seemed to be like tormented by that to a degree. So
yeah, I'm glad that we got an answer, but it was just
you didn't feel like it was a satisfying answer.
It was not. It was sort of forced. A lot of Rafi, which It's never good. But
I mean, we had a lot of Rios in this episode.
a lot of Rios and a lot of Rafi.
Not
It was the
just- I
Rafi and the
mean,
Rios show.
Yeah.
5 Rioses at the same time.
Right.
And that was kind of a weird scene. We don't have to. We'll talk about
Let's
it.
keep
but
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's dive in.
We can start at the beginning, where we got
the very beginning.
yeah, the
That's a
very
very
beginning.
good place to start.
a flashback on AIA, aka
I thought this was a bold choice, starting an episode with a flashback 14 years in the fetus.
yeah,
for the
in the
8th
Greek
time in a
world,
row.
Yeah.
where we get just a real heavy expositional monologue by Commodore O.
Our foremothers came to this system looking for an answer to the riddle of the eightfold stars. What they found was a storehouse of preserved memories that showed them the grim fate of the civilization that perished here long ago. We still do not know the name of the mighty race who left behind this object, this admonition, warning us of the horror and annihilation that came from the skies. When our foremothers first endured the admonition, we, the Zhat Vash, were born. For hundreds of years since, we have worked in shadow to prevent a second coming of the destroyers. It is this dreaded work that you must now carry on. What you are about to experience will drive some of you mad. But those of you who endure will be stronger.
So as she's saying this, there's a group of Zhat Vash reach out to endure the admonition, and then
Endure the admonition.
they endure it, and only Rizzo is left standing. Everyone else is driven mad.
It's a good thing this takes place in the middle of nowhere, because, like, just being a passerby, witnessing this would be horrifying. Hey, Mommy, what are those ladies doing out in the field? And they're all women.
I thought that was
notable.
interesting.
Yeah. Is that
Doesn't mean anything to me.
they're all the
They
Zhat
don't-
Vash are all women, just like the Quat Malat are all women?
So
They don't call it out, but I just thought it was a nice touch.
I like women.
So is Narek? I guess they didn't explicitly say, but
He's not a
Right.
woman.
Right, exactly.
well, I guess that's up to him to decide. But is he? From what they presented to us, he is not. Is he not Zhat Vash?
That's what I took away from this episode, was like,
He is just.
is he a second, right, he's like a lower ranking. Was this all of the Zhat Vash that exist? Or is this just like their weekend retreat once a year?
Because he's definitely. What's the other one?
Tal Shiar.
Tal Shiar. He's definitely Tal Shiar.
yeah.
So maybe just his sister.
Yeah,
is
I mean-
Zhat Vash, and he doesn't know about the Zhat Vash.
No, he definitely does. I think Zhat
Right.
Vash is probably a larger group than this, but this is like a special calling of the elite to witness and experience this admonition and all these shared memories.
Sure. It was interesting though that they were all women and Narek wasn't there.
Yeah. I don't know if there's... Yeah, right. And I don't know that there's significance to that. They're also all Romulan. But still, to our knowledge, O is Vulcan.
She's half
She's
Romulan.
Yeah, they said half Vulcan, half Romulan.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
Well, Rafi is sort of guessing at that point, so we don't know if that's.
It would make sense.
Yeah,
that. I
we
think
sort of
that's-
talked about that already.
I think that's the answer that we're going to get. I don't think we're
Yeah.
going to explore it more. But that's just another kind of oddity. And then, so we also then, through this scene, understand that Ramda and
Rizzo
have a connection.
She's her aunt.
Of some description. Like, did you take that to mean like actual aunt?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
I would
she said,
assume
"What,
literal
come
aunt.
along,
Yeah.
auntie."
Yeah.
That's a weird thing to call somebody that's not your aunt?
I guess I took it in terms of like as the person who raised them, but wasn't they were old enough to know that it wasn't mom and dad. I don't know. I don't know why.
I guess
took
that's
it that
possible.
way.
Yeah, I don't know that it
She's also got red hair.
matters
Rizzo and Narek have brown hair.
because I think Ramda's out of the story now.
Yeah,
She
probably
was
pretty much.
in a coma, and then she's like, "If you wake up, you can come," but she didn't wake up. So I think we're just leaving her there.
Yeah.
Did we get anything else out of the flashback?
Visions?
Yeah, the vision that
We get like some lava and some cells, and then the synthetic eyes turn into Data's face. More of like the planetary explosions, city blowing up, a dead fox. That was the weirdest one to me. There's a random dead fox, and everything else just kind of seems.
So that is apparently just like a stock
Yeah,
footage.
that's what it looked like.
It's been used over and over in films and stuff. Like it's almost like a Wilhelm scream of flashback
Visual.
snippets. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. It's like that's so out of the blue. But I think the most important thing is the AI, like the synthetic eyes, and slowly morphing into Data.
Yeah.
I think that probably is the most answer that we'll get out of these flashbacks.
But as far as anything concrete, there I didn't miss anything, right? There's just all these
I
sort
don't
of
think so.
abstract.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And if Girardi saw the same thing that they saw,
Yeah.
It wasn't
Her-
just seeing, it was feeling.
right? So if she experienced that, this thing that caused these people to smash themselves in the head and rip their face off, and
Yeah.
she handled it.
She's on par with a Jacques
marvelously.
Yeah. It could be. She does talk about, in this scene later with her, she talks about how like she contemplates suicide all the time and it comforts her. It can also be the fact that she did not get it firsthand.
Diminishing returns.
Yeah, where she got it from O. So it's like in multiplicity. It's a copy of a copy. So it's...
Yeah.
So it's like a fax of a fax. That's
Yeah.
But I thought
fuzzy.
about that too. I also...
But still, if it's like that
when
intense,
shows do this thing that's like, if you learned the real truth, you wouldn't be able to handle it. I've just always struggled with that because that feels like a cop out to me. Maybe we get an answer for this, but I don't feel like we actually do.
I mean, if they actually showed audiences watching it, they wouldn't be able to handle it.
They
And
couldn't
they would all
handle
do
it.
it
they
too.
would lose their audience
Yeah.
immediately.
Right.
Like
but
1 out
so-
of 10 of us would survive.
So I
according
feel like
to their
it's this
ratio.
perpetual like. Either either you're disappointed because they do tell you and you're like okay, or they don't ever tell you and it's like this man behind the curtain thing. It's like the Wizard of Oz, but you never got to actually meet the real wizard.
Yeah.
It's like,
We talked about that, I think, in the first podcast the first episode when they talked about that.
about
We
it'll blow your
made
mind.
fun of
Yeah.
because they're not, like you said, there's not an answer that we're going to be like, holy cow,
Yeah.
wow, that actually blew my mind, and they're just not going to tell us.
Right. Like, if they go the route of like all life is synthetic, is that really that big of a crisis to you?
It would be to the Jotvash. They'd have to turn on each other, on themselves.
What'd you say? I mean, that's
Maybe
what
that's
happens.
why.
It's like that Dave
Oh.
Chappelle sketch, or he's the blind guy, the blind black guy who's a member of the KKK.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they all kill themselves.
That would do it.
They realized.
I am synthetic.
I don't know. I'm just. It just seems like drama for drama's sake in a lot of ways. I don't have the confidence that they have something in their pocket that's going to satisfy this kind of a response.
No
This lady's
chance.
literally like pulling her face apart. Like,
Yeah.
No chance.
That's pretty. That's
Yeah.
pretty.
I've only done that
distraught.
like twice, ever.
Yeah.
I would tell you about it, but
Is that when the Bengals threw away their chance at
when
the...
Jeremy Hill fumbled in the
Yeah.
2007 playoffs, they were up by.
See, I know
Yeah.
a sports thing.
It was sports.
That was a real game. That wasn't NFL Blitz.
The last time the Bengals were in the playoffs. Yeah. In 2014. We don't really talk about it.
Okay.
But then recently, Jeremy Hill, the guy that fumbled the ball, tweeted out he joined the Patriots and won the Super Bowl with the Patriots not playing. He just rode the bench and won the Super Bowl. And then he tweeted about how pathetic Cincinnati is for never winning a game, and the fans just annihilated him. Why do you think we haven't won a playoff game, Jeremy? You think maybe because you fumbled the ball with 1 minute left in the lead to the yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bold move.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking.
Wow, that's almost as bold as Picard going to Starfleet asking for a ship.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then O says that they're gonna... Well, Rizzo says that they have to stop them. And then O says that they're gonna start on the world the humans call Mars. And then we get present day Rizzo on the artifact, and she sits beside Ramda. We learn that she raised her and Narek, and that the artifact was a former Borg cube that was broken when it tried to assimilate her. Which I thought was interesting. When the Borg tried to assimilate her, it got those experiences.
By the sheer
and it didn't...
depth of your despair, I think, is what Rizzo says.
Yeah.
Like, that's not just, like, got a bad case of the Mondays.
That's bad. They needed... You would think that they would have some sort of, like, decent firewall or antivirus against...
Safeguard against...
against picking up...
Although this tends to be the way that it goes for the Borg. Like...
Just tap into the wrong source. And
Kinda, yeah. I mean, so they, like, in Next Generation, when the Enterprise catches Hugh, they give, they start teaching him about individuality and stuff. And then he goes back into the Borg and, like, he infects them with...
the coronavirus.
Basically, yeah.
Oh, no.
Spontaneous travel.
He didn't do social distancing?
Nope.
Oh, man.
Nah.
Man.
It was a social study years ago. But no, he goes back in and, like...
Is that how they know how it's going to... Like, we've seen this episode of Star Trek. We know exactly how it's going to...
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
what I thought.
That's what I kind of feel like America's basing their strategy off of.
This might be a good plan. So is that why... I'm just putting this together. You guys are probably going to be like, duh. Is that why the Romulans are all crazy? That they... The ex-Borg that they fix, they're all crazy because they all got this experience that...
They all found out what Ramda knew.
They all had this experience that Ramda had.
I didn't think about that. I was just thinking of them being normal Borg who are, like, unassimilated.
But it was all the Romulans. Everybody, all of them, all of them were all Romulans. And there's, I mean, we see the other reclaimed Borg that appear to be human.
Yeah, because that would make sense because the collective picked the wrong Tal Shiar ship to assimilate that day. So all of those Romulans are Tal Shiar. So they would.
But they didn't.
I don't know why they wouldn't have that experience, but maybe
it got
Ramda's
when they assimilated it all, they were all attached. So I caught something that you guys. I bet Kaylee probably didn't even. Kaylee didn't even notice that. I doubt.
I bet you didn't. We'll have to ask her about that.
Yeah.
But not like. That would make sense. So, if that's why. I mean, I guess I could take it a couple different directions. But if that's why, then I feel like it's fair to say that what we're dealing, like what the Tal Shiar are dealing with, the secret that could blow your mind, is localized to just Romulans. It's a Romulan, something of their history or something. But I guess I took it more as Romulans have such a disdain for synthetic life that to become Borg was, especially Tal Shiar, because we knew they were a ship of Tal Shiar, that they just found that so disdainful that they couldn't handle it. Which I don't know that anybody's like, yippee, I'm a Borg, but like, I guess I just took it as like specifically Romulans have a hard time with this.
You think Rafi would be like, finally, I have purpose. I
No, she
have
would hate it.
friends. I have family.
Her favorite thing is to be the snowflake of the Star Trek universe. That she's the only poor person that deals with drug problems and alcohol.
And that would all be in the past. She could be done with it. But probably we're not ever going to find out any answers to this.
I don't know.
Like,
It's hard to say. Like, I feel like Ramda's character hasn't had a payoff yet.
No, not a full one.
I think we're done.
She was introduced. She
You
was
think-
given some sort of like high value. That's not what I'm trying to say. She was.
There's some kind of a
Right.
gravitas.
She was unique. Yeah, she had some sort of reputation before she was assimilated, which is why Soji knew about her. Which is why even Hugh was knew exactly who she was.
And she, like, now on the artifact, the only characters that we even know of on the artifact now are her and Seven and Elnor.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Seven and Elnor are going to come into contact with her.
They
at
need
some
somebody
point.
to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. And then, speaking of Elnor, he's located and attacked, and he dispatches as many Romulans as possible and is suddenly greeted by Seven.
Did we get any sort of line of dialogue that they're trying to catch Elnor instead of just kill him?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to rewatch that scene and listen to Rizzo's dialogue with...
It's not in this one. I don't know if it was in the last one. I just thought it was interesting. They throw a flashbang and then they all charge him with no,
Yeah.
They didn't use nets. Like, a standard feature on phasers is stun.
Yeah.
Well, they try and catch him because he gets knocked down, and then they put him in handcuffs.
Right. So why didn't they just stun him? Like, because that's a very established thing in the Star Trek
They can
universe.
just stun.
Everybody's got stun.
We wouldn't have got a fight scene where
Exactly.
Elnor does something half decent.
If you're gonna oh my gosh, if you're gonna give a sci-fi character a sword as a primary weapon, you've got to plan out these fight scenes in a way that makes sense. They have him cornered. They hit him with the flashbang, and then they just charge him like madmen rather than doing anything that made sense.
Yeah.
And so they lost because of it.
And then
They almost won.
Yeah.
I'll give them. I mean,
well, they lost because of Seven.
right.
Which, if we're pointing
It
out,
seemed like he was
inconsistencies-
handling them pretty well
Even-
before Seven even
He
came.
was no, he was in. They were.
They got one of his hands.
Yeah, they had.
But he was far from overrun the way that they usually show
were,
people
on
in
top
Dire
of him.
Straits. He was I think he was doing.
I think he was done.
He had a poison capsule in his left
He
molar.
was gonna spit at him. How did she get onto the ship?
Same way Elnor did. People just teleport in and out.
But they
all
made
over
such
the
a big
place.
deal about Picard being like, "You have to teleport here at this time."
Yeah.
Being an ex-Borg, she might have some special ways. She might know the secret back doors and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she just knew right where to go. She knew right where he was.
Well,
this is the same thing that happened with Elnor, though. Is he just showed up when he needed to
At the right time. Yeah.
They didn't explain where he came in. Like the transporter just put him right above the Romulans that he took out.
Yeah.
And then the same thing here. Like you could argue that she's ex-Borg,
Mhm.
and he had the homing beacon.
I was about to say that he clicked on that, and so it's like in The Mandalorian with those trackers.
Yeah.
It makes
Okay.
sense.
We'll give him a pass.
We promise.
It was. We'll give him a pass.
They thought about it.
But no, she's there and
She's back, guys. 7 of 9.
Who saw this coming?
I
Out of left field.
Yeah.
really wasn't sure that we were going to see her again. I thought maybe they were just going to pay homage to her character and then do the episode and then be done. But
I was sure that she was gonna.
she's back.
Yeah,
Be
when
the
she
Borg.
handed that to Picard, I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
this is, again, like in The Mandalorian when Cara Dune and Mando say
yeah.
goodbye. I'm like, all right, well,
Yeah, and when Hugh said you're gonna have to find another XB, who could that be?
Picard.
No, he's not. He doesn't have the thing on his face. He doesn't have the eyebrow thing.
doesn't have the connections in the back.
We were sure. I was sure that she was coming back, and she's back.
And boy, is she ever back.
She's here.
Yep. And then aboard La Serena, Rios is freaking out by the sight of Soji. And Picard lets him know that he needs a secure link to Starfleet Command. And then Rios says that he will lay in a course for Deep Space 12, but that after that he's done. And then Rios introduces herself, pulls a phaser on Soji, and tells them that Jurati was working against them.
Way to go, Raffi.
This is probably the best Raffi episode.
Yeah.
For a character I don't like a lot, I think she was actually pretty useful.
She did some things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She did some sleuthing.
So Picard and his hubris, when Rios sees Soji and is clearly having this like stunned response, he's not like, what's going on? This is clearly a weird situation. What is it? He just yells at him until he comes around. And then when Rios clearly believes strongly enough to pull a weapon on this person that this whole point is to get her, and then when she's here, she's like, hey, stop it. He's like, what are you doing? What is that proven or a theory? He's like, a theory. He's like, well then forget you. Just ready to dismiss her offhand.
I would too, because it's Raffi. And she's like I said, this is the first time she's like actually been useful and right, and like all the other times I think she's like a part of her character is she's fallen down like bad rabbit holes.
But
yeah, I wish they
and he's probably got there's probably like something of her that she's got a lot of theories, and so Picard's like, I can't listen to all these.
That is, I think, the flaw in Raffi's character, like in how they've portrayed her. She, like, the flaw that we've been presented with is that she believes this conspiracy that we know is right. We've never been presented with other theories that she was wrong about, and I think her character desperately needed that to be like, the replicators give you like cancer
9/11
or something like that.
9/11 being an inside job.
That she has, like,
there's two shooters that killed JFK. Is that what Martin Luther King Jr. was killed by the CIA? You wanted to reference some of those?
That kind of stuff, yeah.
The moon landing was faked.
She's in Star Trek.
She was a Scientologist.
Yeah, those sorts of things. They just opened a church in Columbus. I thought about going down there and checking it out. Yeah.
I wonder, does you can
get a free personality test.
Does that count as a religious gathering?
Their religion. Yeah, they don't pay taxes.
Anyway, no.
Apologies to all of our Scientology listeners. I'm sorry.
Or fast.
They didn't say anything negative about it.
Well,
you guys who did say conspiracy. Okay, never mind.
Oh no,
they're gonna shut us down. This is the last episode of Who Watches.
Right.
You
right
can't
before
talk
the
badly.
penultimate episode.
You can't talk badly about the.
We've got so many
Church
things
of Scientology
planned for this finale. Man,
I can't edit any of that out.
They already know, though. They've already heard us.
Yeah.
Oh no. No, like I feel like I agree with you that Picard doesn't trust her because she is this kind of conspiracy theorist in this universe.
She wears tinfoil hats.
Yeah, but we've never actually been presented with a theory of hers that's wrong. That's
we're just
what I think is
told that she's wrong.
No, we're not.
Her kid did.
Her kid thinks she's wrong, but it's about a theory that we know is right as the audience. And so she's been this victim for all these years, chasing a theory that Picard himself believes, and yet then he passes her off because it's another one of the crazy Raffi theories. And so, like, there's just this element to her that's missing.
Yeah.
That I feel like helps round out her character, that she sees through so much that she sometimes sees the truth and sometimes she's chasing ghosts.
She needs to be portrayed
as
only
ever right.
One of those crazy.
But she's only ever portrayed as the theories that we know are actually right.
Yeah.
And so then that character, one that can't really quite tell which theories are true and which aren't, makes more sense to be dependent on alcohol, and like because she's right sometimes and she's wrong sometimes, and she, like, that's much more of like a the demon inside of her kind of wrestling that I could actually get behind. Of like, oh, okay, you're the lovable crazy person, but instead,
I think though that she doesn't even know that she's right yet.
But we as the audience know she's right.
Yeah, but
And that's what makes it harder to watch her struggle so much with being right.
yeah,
When Picard isn't an alcoholic, when he believes the exact same thing. And so it just makes her a weaker character without any actual reason for why she's weaker. As an audience, I want to know that when a character is presented with the truth, they're strong enough to stand behind it. Or that's their struggle, is that they can't.
maybe we're supposed to hate Raffi.
Maybe we are. I don't know.
Maybe.
That's my takeaway from this was like, I think you're right. I think he dismisses her because this is a trend. We've just never seen the trend.
But I guess I get that, but then it doesn't explain why he just yells at Rios, who's clearly like, oh my goodness. So he yells at Rios.
It's
and then
portrayed like that to us, but imagine like, I don't know, being in a room with anybody who's just like dumbly staring. You gotta be like,
would you aggressively yell at them? I'd probably be like,
if you were ex-military,
I am ex-military. I don't think I would yell at you. I think I'd be like, Ryan, Ryan, hey, Ryan. I would, I don't know. I think I'd be a little bit more.
I think you woke up everybody in the house.
Well, they won't ignore me.
But like, if you felt like you were on like this life and death mission, and your pilot is just zoning out.
Okay, if you guys are just going to defend Picard being a jerk, I will withdraw my accusation.
What else you got?
He's been a jerk the entire time. The whole season.
No,
he's just been a jerk the whole season, and then when I call it out being a jerk, you guys will be like, "Don't say that about Picard. He's a nice guy. You wouldn't know. You just don't know him."
Come back when you've watched Next Generation.
It'll never happen.
No, when I watched this, both times that I watched this scene, I was like, I was in the same place of like, Picard is not getting that this guy's going through, like, you've never known Rios to be zoned out or anything. He's always been very engaged, so something about this is off.
It should have alerted him.
And so, yeah, in general, Picard's perception of the people around him is just very skewed.
Very low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even the whole last episode, he just refers to Rios as my pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's never by name unless he's talking
the
directly
guy that
to
helps
him.
me get places.
Basically,
The ship.
yeah.
I'm worried about the ship.
And the fact that he teleported away from them in the first place in the episode
Wait,
prior,
yeah.
they are expendable to him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little odd.
Yeah. Well, then Raffi in the ship's EMH.
He's back.
Yeah, he explains what Girardi did to Picard.
Wow, he knows things.
Yeah, along with the facts regarding Maddox's death. And then Raffi asks Picard if he knows what Soji is like. And then she goes to tell Rios that she was right. She's so excited to go rub people's faces in the fact she's right.
I was so disappointed. I really thought we were going to get a good... We've had this kind of half tension between the crew members that's never quite fully explored. And I thought we were going to go the route, okay, last episode, Girardi is unconscious. The last thing that Girardi ate was the cake that Raffi replicated for her. I thought for sure Rios was going to go, Raffi poisoned her. Raffi is the traitor. And we were going to get a nice, like, because this isn't a huge crew, any sort of falling out like that is a massive break, and it wasn't going to be till the 11th hour that everybody comes together, right? But
They just didn't have time.
They didn't do that at all. They picked up this whole, I think Raffi's the traitor, and then dropped it immediately.
Which is strange, yeah, because they spent like 2 separate scenes. They brought it up twice to the point of Rios confronting Raffi about it.
Yeah.
And then they just dismissed it. That I mean, not that I don't want them to talk anymore on the ship. I'm glad.
That could have led to an interesting head where he's got Raffi in an airlock getting ready to jettison her, and Picard has to vie for it
would have been like, Rios, wait!
Right.
After you do that, I want to speak to you on the bridge.
Listen, do whatever you got to do here. We got to go, dude.
After you get rid of Raffi, that's fine. That's great.
No, I just we've dabbled so much in these lighter layers of the character conflicts. I thought we were actually going to go somewhere with this one, and no, everything just came out very nice
fine.
And clean. And also, we got confirmation that the EMH knows everything. Yeah. They simply didn't ask what happened, which that's
don't ask, don't tell.
That's such a glaring plot hole in this series as a whole. That's either these holograms are present on the ship or they're not. They either need to be characters or they don't. And that's probably what fell through for me later on in this episode was we're being introduced to new ones. They all have roles, they all have parts of a story. I would have much rather seen the La Serena constantly have all these different holograms here and there, but persistent, not just always being deactivated.
Yeah, the budget they'd have to spend on.
I guess so, but if you're gonna do it, just do it. I don't know, but because there's this, she immediately goes to gloat, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, the next up scene is Picard. He goes to gloat and meets with Clancy in his study.
Oh, jeez.
And he asks her for a squadron, and then she swears at him again.
Admiral Picard, with all due respect and at long last, shut the up.
And then tells him that a fleet will meet him at DS-12.
I would voice my opinion about Picard in this scene, but you guys would just jump all over me for.
Well, he was right in this scene
for criticizing your idol.
He's got the sweet line, and now the windmills have turned out to be giants.
That was a good line.
Yeah,
that was a good line. And then he tells her that she's completely useless. He tells her he says she's a waste of space.
If you say this is not a job for Starfleet, then I'm sorry, but you are a waste of space.
Wow.
If you don't,
that's pretty.
If you don't listen, and then you are
a waste of. That's pretty harsh coming from Picard.
Yeah,
he values all life except for yours.
Usually, he's so nice.
This was
thoughtful and sensitive. It's such a departure from his character. I was really blown away the direction that they took him in this scene.
Do you think Starfleet gets a redeeming scene in this series?
I think maybe by the end of the series. I think it's going to have to come later.
You see, season 2, you mean? Or what do you mean by
or possibly season 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
Then there could be characters that actually come from Starfleet in future seasons that could possibly be uncorrupt and actually stand for the kind of things that he's accustomed to Starfleet standing for, and reminding us, the audience, oh yeah, this is how we remember things, and there are still characters like that. But
there is going to be a confrontation, though, between Starfleet and the Romulans, because they're both headed towards.
Yeah.
And so you would think that that's the final act of this
the galvanizing
season
kind of
is Starfleet
action.
showing up. But why does Starfleet care all of a sudden? Because there's a ban on all synthetic life, and then he's like, "Hey, I found a planet where there's just a ton of them. You have to help." And she's like, "I guess we do. Why?"
Oh, I don't think they were there. They were going to help. I took it as they're going to go to wreak havoc.
But they're giving him the fleet.
I guess I didn't take it that way.
yeah, she said that the fleet was going to meet him there. So it could, I
guess I took that as more of an intercept. They're going
yeah,
to
that's
stop
how
him.
I don't know.
I guess they could spin it that way, and then it's him against the Romulans and Starfleet, and Starfleet joins with the Romulans to try and destroy.
Cube shows up, and then Q shows up, and then Beverly Crusher.
The end of the good, the bad, and the ugly, where everybody's just facing each other down.
Everybody's there. I mean,
ecstasy of gold
It's
starts
possible.
playing.
If that's really what Starfleet, like they just want to know where they are so they can go wipe them out, that's what the Romulans are doing.
Right, yeah.
They would have the same goal.
Yeah.
So maybe they don't get a redeeming, and this is just the downfall of Starfleet. He's got to fight Starfleet.
I mean, I guess that could be the next couple seasons is like Picard getting to rebuild Starfleet from the ground, like change the course of. That would be interesting because we've very much set up so far like this is Picard versus Starfleet this whole season, and we have ex-Starfleet people like Rios and Riker,
Rafi,
right? Nobody is currently Starfleet that we've interacted with. None of the main characters.
No.
Except for maybe Rizzo and
and O.
That are not
Yeah,
Starfleet. I mean, at best, they're spies.
That's true.
For Star Trek, there's a lot of...
Well, when Riker, goes back into Starfleet, which I think he will. Because in the previous episode, they have the, they clearly lay out that track. He said it'd have to be a really good reason for me to come back, and I'm like, all right, I think that's laying some track for, if not the end of this season, sometime next season, him coming back into the fold.
I would expect him back this season. Not knowing anything about just from that line, obviously things are going to come to a head. You can just see him stepping out when Picard goes to meet him at the station, and they beam onto the bridge, and there he is.
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
We get our
and then Picard yells at him because he's late or something.
We get to have the on your left moment.
Oh yeah,
and, everybody from Next Generation is all captains of their own ships. Beverly Crusher, Geordi,
or it'll just be a scene of Picard. Picard standing there with his eyes closed, and all those people will just whisper to him, "You can do it, Picard. We're with you.
You're all the Starfleet.
You are all the Starfleet now."
Oh gosh, no! Oh no!
It's one or the other.
Okay, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, she got to curse at Picard again, which I hope is just the.
That's her. Line. That's her trait.
That's her MO. Every time she shows up, and I hope each interaction is increasingly shorter until it's just.
He walks in the room and she's like, "Oh."
Right, and then we move on to the next scene.
That's it.
It's just that's her role.
Like Geralt. Beep. I beat myself, Travis. You don't have to beat me this time.
Okay.
Save you time and money on the.
That's good.
Editing.
And then is the next scene then Raffi going up to the bridge to go kind of brag
and explaining that Rios. Well, no, she starts to brag to a guy that she thinks is Rios, even though he's dressing and sounding not like Rios at all.
Way different.
This is what I mean though, is if the holograms were more consistent on we've only used them in the immediate scenes that we need them in. If they had just been background characters and whatnot, we would have gotten more of these the rest of the crew trying to figure out which one is Rios. That would make this not feel so weird, because they've done such a deliberate job making sure the audience knows which one's Rios and which ones are the holograms, that it feels super weird for one of the cast to be...
Well, they explained it, because he says, Rios activated us all and then went into his room.
Mm-hmm. He does say that, but at the same time, the accent... The hair.
I knew it was not Rios immediately.
Everyone immediately did.
Yeah,
she should know that.
She's she's probably a little tipsy.
She can't. They've locked her off.
Right. She's still got snake leaf.
She's got cake.
Whatever else she's got. She's still got a sub sandwich.
She's got a sandwich.
She can smoke.
I I do wish that we would have gotten that the rest of the holograms were just the crew, that they're there 90% of the time, and so even a scene where Girardi deactivating one of them and the other ones go rude or something like that. It's all we've seen is these holograms get deactivated left and right.
Yeah,
it's not weird. It's just part of what the ship does until we find out from the EMH, oh, she deactivated me, and so I couldn't do anything.
He does the characters well enough.
Yeah,
like the scene. It's in a little bit, but when they all... It's a weird scene.
Yeah, Santiago Cabrera does a great job.
That they all sit down. It's like you can tell each character is distinct enough.
They have mannerisms, they have style.
Yeah, they could be their own characters, but... Yeah, this was weird.
Yeah. Well,
and then she does it again. Is it immediately after this?
Yeah, well, then she brings up this image that she kept finding inside the Borg cube.
Oh, right.
Which is the Enoch, the navigation hologram, recognizes it as looks like 8 component stars, and then Raffi realizes that the conclave, of 8 doesn't refer to people but a place.
Yeah,
which is the opposite of Lando. Lando's not a system, he's a man.
Lando's not a system, he's a man.
This is Conclave of 8 is not people,
not a man,
but
it's a system. I don't know if this was obvious, but the second time I watched it, when the flashback scene at the start starts in space and they fly past these planets. So I think that is where, and then she talks about it.
Yeah.
That where they have that flashback and they see that's in the octonary that she's talking about now.
Yep. And then she kisses him, and then he puts his hand on his cheeks.
That was funny.
Then,
that's cute.
Aboard the artifact.
Cute little scene.
Yeah, Rizzo finds the bodies left by Elnor and Seven, and she knows that 7 of 9 is on board. And then Elnor and Seven find the Queen Cell and begin the reactivation process. So, pretty straightforward there.
Yeah. We've talked about this before, that we kind of knew 7 of 9 was going this direction, especially when they introduced the Queen Cell.
Yeah.
Yep. We knew that this was going to be what she did.
Yeah.
That's what she did. It's interesting. In Star Trek lore, it's an interesting concept.
And then Picard and Soji share a meal.
Does he say it now? I don't remember how many scenes they cut back to Elnor and her doing. I think it's just one more. So he's like, "Oh yes, you can." She's like, "You want to assimilate them?" And he's like,
"Yeah, it's the next scene."
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Next. Okay.
Yeah, not yet.
Sorry, spoilers.
It's okay.
For the show you already hopefully watched.
So then, Picard and Soji share a meal.
Who's listening to this that hasn't seen the episode yet?
I'd like to picture that there's people out there watching the episode. They watch a scene and then they play, our next segment, and then they watch a scene. That's how we expect people to watch this, right?
That's how they should be. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
I would prefer that they listen to this first and then watch the episode, so they have just our voices and the framework of how they should view the episode already established for them. That's why I listen to podcasts and stuff, is so that people can tell me how to think about stuff.
Yeah. So every episode of Picard is a 3-hour experience.
Yes.
1 hour for the show and 2 hours of commentary.
Yeah, they listen to it first in a dark room while not doing anything else, just sitting there quietly listening to it.
Meditating on the voices.
and
then immediately
sensory
watch.
deprivation chamber.
Yes. It's just our voices echoing in the...
And then afterwards they come out
water.
and they are driven crazy, just like all the Jat Vache.
Yep.
So then, Soji is struggling with her identity, trying to determine if any of it is real or if it's all programmed. And then she asks to know more about Data, and Picard tells her all about him and that he loved him.
If I could see you with his eyes, with his memories, what would I see?
How would I know that?
What do you hope I would see? How do you wish he would remember you?
You mean if he had survived me rather than the other way around? I hope he would remember Jean-Luc Picard as someone who believed in him, who believed in his potential, celebrated his successes, counseled him when he fell short, helped him if he needed help, and if he didn't need it, got out of his way. Words to that effect.
He loved you.
How does she know that?
Because
she's
him.
partly Data.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
She can feel it.
It was a nice scene. Don't take this from us.
It was awkward because she's like, he loved you, and he's like, okay, all right.
I mean, what are you gonna do?
Eat your eggs.
What are you gonna do? Sitting at a table listening to an old military man's war stories about his dead friend? Like,
probably not to be like, he loved you.
You don't think you would try and comfort him?
Me?
You wouldn't tell a man that his friend loved him? That you never met?
I don't
be like,
think
you know
that
what?
would come to mind. I'd probably be like, well,
all right.
He sounds very special. I'm glad you guys had. I don't know what I would say, but I doubt I'd just shout at him. He loved you.
Well, let's put it in context. If it was an old man, melancholy in the in stories of your father that you never knew.
Of my father?
You would, yeah, your long gone father's.
Do you feel like you'd be able to like talk on your father's behalf?
No, I would probably just be super uncomfortable and just be like, okay. All right,
that's fair.
That's how the scene should have ended, with her saying okay.
Or just not eating, or just not saying anything, just eating silently.
Tell me about Data. And he gets all worked up. It's like, wow, you seem to have gotten really emotionally invested in this. I just wanted facts.
Yeah.
Well, then.
And then Raffi finds the engineering hologram, who goes by Ian, and she asks him about the likelihood of 8 stars occurring naturally in the pattern she found. He tells her it would have to be manufactured. And then she gets excited as as like all the pieces are falling together, and she goes to get a drink, but is told that she's locked out of her booze by the hospitality program. And he also tells her that Rios is in need of a confidant.
Before we gloss over this, why is the engineering guy Scottish?
I like
He's
it
Irish.
because it's Scottish. It's an homage to Scotty, I think,
But
because
then-
Scotty's the engineer.
But then like Next Generation, it's the Irish guy who's in the transporter room, like
O'Brien.
yeah, and
You've
he's
got to
an
have
engineer
one.
too.
You've got to have a Scottish
I guess so.
engineer.
I don't know. This
I'm
was
giving her all she's got, Captain. If I push it any harder, the whole thing will blow.
I liked it. I was excited when I heard the Scottish accent, and I was like,
He
"Oh,
does
it's
a-
like Scotty."
He does a phenomenal job.
What accent would you prefer that he had?
I just think that there's been an awful lot of engineers that are Scottish and or
That's
Irish.
where they all come from in
Is
Star
it?
Trek. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
It feels a little-
island is Scotland is just all.
Geordie
Okay.
wasn't Scottish.
Well,
You
he's
didn't
blind.
Think he was Scottish. He thought he was Scottish. No, but O'Brien is an engineer as well, though, and he's Irish, though. But like, a lot of minorities going on in the in the engineering world. That's it. That's all I had to say about that. I enjoyed how well he portrayed it. I was just like, oh, okay. And then we can move on. I'm not going to get into the weeds on this.
Okay.
I like that Raffi gets really exciting and she says, "Oh, I'm getting closer. Yeah, and I can feel it." And she rubs her neck like she's like really jonesing for a fix. Like the closer she gets on the conspiracy theories, the more she needs her stuff. It's tied
or
together.
maybe it's like the adrenaline is like a
Yeah.
so she can feel it.
When do you suppose she locked herself out of the booze?
I don't know.
Like it.
Well,
it
she
seems
just
like she
popped
said-
back on
right
to the. She was locked in her closet,
and then the first time we saw her, she was drunk out of her gourd.
Well, let's see.
And then the next episode,
we're supposed
she
to
was
think she was
fine, but
we never go back. We never talk about that again. We haven't talked about it again. She talks to Rios about how sad she is that she's lost everything, and then
that's it.
That
was the progression. Do you think it was from that point that she was just like, you know what? No
I imagine
more?
she woke up with a killer hangover, and it's like, all right, this is day one, never drinking again.
I guess so. I was surprised that it was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
we're doing this.
Yeah,
I certainly didn't make a leap in
And-
her character.
Yeah.
And so you can deactivate the hologram that is designed specifically to handle medical emergencies
and save lives
with a man dying, but you can't undo an override.
It sounds like she really locked it down.
You can't be like, well, okay, deactivate that part and give me a beer.
Well, Rios never put any restrictions on the medical one. It was only the booze one that he ever thought.
It was
to
only
like,
the hospitality.
'cause Raffi, yeah, it was.
He
He didn't have any child locks on the other one.
Why would somebody that's got a serious medical injury deactivate the EMH?
That would never happen.
It wouldn't happen, right? So you never needed it. And then we get a weird little scene here because the hospitality hologram like ignores social boundaries. Stuck out like I think that was supposed to be like a funny little thing. Like I really wonder if that wasn't just like a blooper that they left in. Like he just improv'd that.
Could have been.
And they kept it. Like
Yeah.
that persona specifically really bothered that actress, and so he really just hammed it up.
Went for it.
Because that's so out of place. Why is the hologram
so aggressively telling her like he
Yeah.
needs someone to talk
Needs
to.
a confidant.
to the point where she falls backwards onto the bed?
Yeah, that was
It was so out of
it
place.
was
to me.
strange. It was a bit strange. But we did talk about the origin of all the holograms looking like him, and
He
that
just
we would go
never
with
changed
different
it.
options.
Yeah.
And we got the answer.
He just went with the default.
He just scanned himself and
What's-
never changed it.
What's still amusing to me though is it's just a scan of him, but somebody had to customize like different hair lengths and different clothing. Like
Maybe he did.
he got that far and
You know,
was
like
yeah.
the character creator in a video game. Like sometimes you're like, I'm gonna make this look like me, but then like you make him muscular with a long beard because you'll never have that. It's like, this is what I want.
So
I've
he was
always-
just playing with the
Yeah, I've always wanted a thick Scottish accent and to be a creep.
I've got to make an engineer. What accent should it have? Oh, Scottish. I gotta make a trigger happy wild man. Oh, he's gonna be Hispanic.
Which he already is Hispanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just also going to be Hispanic. Yeah.
But it's a more
Maybe that's
heavy
what he does in
accent,
his free
yeah.
time. He just sits there and edits his his holograms. I'm going to give this guy a flak jacket. That'll be dope.
What's ridiculous though is he really seems to hate them all.
Yeah.
He just
Because they're him. I would hate it if I was surrounded by
Yeah.
5 of me all the time. I would drive me crazy.
yeah, it's interesting. And then what's our next scene?
And Elnor tries to talk Seven into assimilating the Borg in order to stop the Romulans, and she doesn't want to invade their minds and worries that they may not want to be released and that she may not want to release them.
You want me to take over their minds and involuntarily enslave them? Yes, I do. Yes.
I mean, the alternative is kill them, so... you seem way more okay with killing people than just making them useful.
Yeah. The concept of that, it was like it reminded me of just kind of like the Ring and the Lord of the Rings, and specifically like Galadriel. That's what being offered the like, and she's like, I'd become a
instead of a dark
queen.
lord, you would have a queen.
In place of a dark lord, you would have a queen, not dark but beautiful and terrible as the dawn.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal scene. That's just a great scene because it's everything that it should be. She becomes like beautiful and terrible all at once.
And so does 7.
So does 7.
We had this. Kaylee said the same thing, and I thought the same thing. It's like that. Yeah.
Right. It's a lot of power.
Yeah.
Could take over the whole cube.
Mm-hmm. And then Raffi calls a group meeting of all the ship's holograms. Luckily, there were fewer of 50 of them. And then Raffi tries to find out about Rios' former Starfleet captain, Alonzo Vandermeer, and the girl named Jana, who looks just like Soji.
So are they having a hard time remembering because the information is classified?
The hospitality guy says that their memory was edited.
He said he made some deletions. But if they know enough about it, it was weird that if it had been deleted, that they knew anything about it.
It's also weird to me that holograms that serve a purpose on the ship would ever need to copy all of his memories.
That makes sense if you have different roles, and when you copy the captain, the hologram is then going to emulate. If they have an understanding of that person, they're going to emulate what that person would do in a situation.
But an intricate knowledge of everything, like literally just copy all of his memories.
It doesn't make sense. It's weird. But it's here, so we have to just acknowledge it. But it was weird that they know part of it, but not all of it.
Yeah.
They should have either known all of it or known none of it. But this scene was, I appreciated.
It was done very well.
Especially them all like, they all hit at the same time. All hit their heads at the same time. That was good. It was done well. I don't know. We needed it.
You could, at any given time, you could always tell which hologram was talking, which one was. It was very well acted.
Yeah, it would have been a pain to shoot.
Yeah.
Because this actor has to shoot 5 different scenes, multiple takes, getting them all right.
Well, and they have to take into account every time any one of them crosses paths with another one, and just it would have been a logistical nightmare. It would have been a performing nightmare. Like,
do you think he is a quintuplet?
I'm pretty sure no.
Oh, and these are the actor?
Yeah.
And Santiago Cabrera.
And these are just his brothers? The ENHs?
It's like Paul Walker and Fast 7?
Yeah.
No. I think he played every role.
But
I also think...
I'm leaning more towards the quintuplet theory.
I think this
They're
is also...
all him.
I think
him
they
and his brothers.
wrote his... I think Rios' character is too good. And, like... Then on top of that, giving him all the holograms, I think they had to dial it back later on because he would have just stolen the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could have done too many humorous things with all these different.
I was about to say, do you think like the in the season finale they're gonna trick like the Jacques Vache, like Three Amigos style with the with all the holograms of Rios running around?
You could do so many things with it. But I think they have to temper it because it's not the Rios show. It's, you have other characters and they're really struggling to give, Raffi things to do sometimes. And Elnor doesn't have a lot still that he does.
Didn't do much.
He did enough, I guess. But
yeah, we'll see what he does in these next 2 episodes.
Yeah, the next couple episodes will be. I'm sure we'll see lots from him. He'll do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then Jurati comes to and finds Picard beside her. She explains what Commodore O did and that she put a psychic block that keeps her from talking about it. And then she says that she never believed in hell until she was shown the vision, and that now she thinks about suicide to comfort herself. And then Soji busts in and makes herself known as Seb Sheneb the Destroyer.
It's pretty bold talking to Professor Xavier about psychic blocks.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to deal with those.
It's true.
She can just get a tinfoil hat
Cerebro
from Raffi, and she can block it.
I meant to look into this, but I don't recall any examples of psychic blocks in Star Trek. There might be, and I don't know. But that was a new one to me. Also, Picard changed his tune pretty quick. We didn't really get an interim scene between him going, "Yeah, no, she's definitely innocent," to "We're taking you to jail." Yeah. But yeah, she was pretty forthcoming with her confession. We got a classic Picard speech that pulled at her heartstrings and changed her opinion.
Sorry, I'm looking at Memory Alpha at the Vulcan telepathy to see if it says anything about psychic blocks. I don't see anything.
Nothing. Yeah, maybe it's been out there before. I can't remember it.
Yeah. Well, he does ask if what she experienced, if it was firsthand from O, if like O was actually the person who was there. She's like, no, it was like thousands of centuries ago because of hubris.
Sheer f***ing hubris.
It's all hubris brings down all these people.
Star Trek hubris.
Somehow knows Maddox was her lover.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Your mentor and your lover?
Well, they found those like holovids.
Did they?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just
Because
assuming.
they don't answer it at all.
He watched all these vids of her and them eating cookies and...
She's in a coma and he's like, pull up recent browser history.
But he just somehow knew this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't miss anything then. All right. I just knew it.
I was as caught off guard as you
just knew the thing. Okay. He's done that a lot this season, just knowing stuff.
Fair amount of that going around.
Without. Yeah. Okay.
Which, I thought about that earlier when we were talking about the Zhat Vash. If there's only 3 of them, which presumably there's more, but if there's only 3 of them, how have any of their plans gotten out? How has anybody known anything about them? You could keep that pretty quiet if there's only a couple of you.
Yeah. One of them has a big mouth, I guess.
It's Ramda.
Yeah.
You can tell it's Ramda.
I will note, this episode had a stark lack of Narek.
The last 2 have.
I mean, he was at least flipping a thing.
Yeah, he was in the episode, but he was not
present at all.
I think because they wanted you to forget that he was there at all, and so the last scene is him like slipping in that portal behind him.
Waiting for him to like pop up on the screen, and him to be like, "Hey, Soji, what's on the ceiling?" And she's like, "Oh, you
squirrel,
Narek.
Oh, you guys, let's beam him over here."
Yeah,
it's gonna be quite the confrontation, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Raffi visits with the real Rios this time. He's drinking alone and listening to Billie Holiday. And they talk about Vandermeer while Jurati finally gets to know Soji. And Rios recalls an ambassador and protege that they picked up on a diplomatic mission. And Rios says that Vandermeer ended up killing them both in cold blood as a directive from Starfleet. And then Rios says that he went after him pretty hard and that he put the phaser in his own mouth and pulled the trigger. The whole thing was a cover-up.
Do you think he was in his right mind?
Alonzo,
yes.
I think so. It seemed to be he killed himself over grief.
yeah, over feeling bad about it. Which wouldn't the Jatvash handle this differently?
Instead of having the captain do it,
Yeah.
they do it themselves.
Yeah, this
I don't
seems
know.
like a huge leak. Like for them keeping it under wraps, it just seems strange. If they have all these agents that can go places, why not just send an Eric to this ship and be like, oh, we want to question them. We're going to send a Starfleet investigator to come talk to them, and then have the investigator be like, well, we have reason to believe that these people are criminals, and we're going to take them away and then murder them. Like, why have some seemingly innocent, unconnected captain do this?
I do not know. And then, but he was obviously a loose thread that they were like, he took care of himself.
Yeah.
Oh, or did he? Did they have some kind of an influence over that as well? We don't know.
We
just don't know.
We don't know. But then you still have a loose thread with Rios. Rios knows about this, and then it's a huge cover-up that he was a part of.
But he didn't realize that they were synths. He thought that these people were just killed out of cold blood.
Right. But still, I mean, it still seems like a loose end.
But it was a cover-up because the holograms had told Rafi that they've deleted all. Like, oh, don't look for it, don't search it, because you're not going to find any information. So it's a cover-up, and you have this very, very loose, wild end in Rios. Why doesn't the Jatvash, any number of accidents, could take care of that? It just seems strange that this
was their plan.
This was their plan, to have some
their solution was
random captain strong-arm him in.
That the directive came from Commodore O herself, which is easily traceable.
Yes.
And I think she would want to.
That's why part of this whole scene felt like it just missed for me. I was like, that's a weird explanation. Yeah.
Yeah, you could solve it probably pretty easily if you go the route of, like, he crosses path, like they encounter a new species of synthetic life on their way to him going to, like, shore leave. And so he gets off the ship, and then the ship gets destroyed mysteriously. And so he's spent the last couple years trying to unravel the mystery or something.
Yeah.
Like, that feels more...
For Rios?
Yeah.
Something like that.
And so he's, he should have been on board, and he can wrestle with that too. And
that would have been better. Like, I left my crew, or then they got attacked by, like, the Jatvash comes to destroy their ship anyways, and he wasn't. So you have survivor's guilt, but instead you have, obviously, it would be traumatic watching somebody commit suicide, and so he's struggling with that. It just seems fabricated to me.
Are you saying Rios is a synth too?
So, no,
the beautiful flower, right, is one, and then what's the other one's name?
Jana.
Forget.
Jana.
Yeah, Jana. Yeah, you're
beautiful
right.
flower.
So, I mean, if you're a robot, you can be anything.
Okay.
And I believe it was a he.
It was a he.
Yeah.
It was a he.
It's not twins.
No.
So there's at least, assuming that this is the same process that we have for Daj and Soji.
It's gotta be.
Which we knew there's other synths.
And how big is that necklace? How many rings is that on their necklace? Just hundreds of rings.
It's just like a grape
It's
vine.
like a chainmail shirt.
Mithril. So there's another twin to Soji out there that we don't know. I guess when we've talked about other synths, I didn't picture an army of Dodges and Sojis.
Identicals, yeah.
I pictured just probably a range or more like the Mars synthetics that we saw way early on.
Well, there's at least another one.
But there's at least right. I mean, based on what we know about this universe, there's at least another one somewhere.
Yeah.
Another model.
And
the man.
And that there was a male.
Beautiful flower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so.
Interesting. Yeah, it's to think about who that's going to be. Like, because they didn't show it. We don't know what this other person looks like. Are we going to see Brent Spiner again? Is it going to be like actually like literally based off of Data?
He's been.
Did they not show him?
No.
Mm-mm.
I felt like
in the picture, the drawing is of young Rios and Jaina.
That was Rios. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he said the other one drew it while we were
That's right.
sitting there.
Yeah.
Which,
if it's Data,
it could be another Data.
That seems weird. Next week, I'm gonna just sit here and draw you guys, and then I'll give you the picture.
Okay, thanks.
I'm an awful artist.
But that would be in line with Data. I think there would be something neat about it being lore and like a redeemed
that's true.
lore.
We've not seen lore.
We've not seen lore. As far as I know, he's not confirmed dead. He was just jettisoned, so he could pretty easily survive that. And that he has had a change of heart or something. I don't know. That would be. Oh no! Like if it was lore, that would give more than enough basis for this prophecy that we're talking about. Are you the one that died? Are you the destroyer?
Mm-hmm.
Lore would fulfill the destroyer role. And he's making all these synths that then take over. Guys, I cracked it. I figured out the Star Trek.
We don't have to watch anymore then.
Yeah.
We're done.
Either way, I really feel like this show should have been called Star Trek Data. It has the title Picard, but it really doesn't center around Picard much at all. He's a key character.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, he's not what's driving the plot.
And if lore is involved, they could call it Data lore.
Data. I love it. That would maybe give away too much. I just think that's one of the other major things that was interesting about Star Trek that we haven't heard anything about since.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with this season revolving so heavily around Data, that's a major unresolved plot or story thread in his narrative.
Well, because most people now have unlimited plans, and so they're not so worried about Data.
They're not so worried about.
They're
Data.
not worried about Data anymore.
A lot of people worried about lore right now. Yeah, because Star Trek Picard is running fast and loose with all kinds of lore. And there's a lot of conversation about Mandalore.
True.
That's it. That's all I got. What's the next scene there, Travis?
Cool. So then Rizzo goes on a actually cut in with this scene is Girardi actually interacting with Soji, and so she's like so in awe of her.
Mm-hmm.
You drink when you're thirsty.
It probably would have been easier to just say, do you feel like have you ever missed out on anything other people do?
She does ask her some, do you sneeze? Do you have those weird eye crusties sometimes when you wake up? Do you
ever sleep on your arm wrong? You just can't feel it.
You ever sit on the toilet too long and your legs go numb?
Do you ever just have a sharp pain and think, well, this is it? No? All right.
Yeah. Weird questions from her.
Yeah.
And it's here, and then again, I think it's the next scene when they're all sort of talking about the whole conspiracy and everything. We're just supposed to forget Girardi murdered Maddox and accept her back.
Yeah, she's nice now.
Yeah,
she's even like,
she learned.
I wouldn't kill you, and so I wouldn't let you. He's like, oh, I wouldn't even try now. And then when she goes back in the room, she's like, I'm done murdering people. And they're like,
that's what she says.
Wonderful. Have a seat. How many murders would you guys overlook in your friends?
Well, if somebody walks in and just says, I'm done murdering people, I'd be like, all right, cool.
Great.
We learned.
We totally believe this spy. We've talked all episode about how we don't trust you. And then there's like, great, come on, let's talk about this whole plan right out. I know it's the next scene, but like this started like we're supposed to start to like her again.
I've always liked her better than some of the other cats.
Sure, but like her like a person.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We're supposed to accept her again, and they just trust her, and she doesn't have any other.
Yeah, one of the most important men to this mystery was murdered by her.
Yeah.
And
it's a classic thing for a spy to do something like, oh, I've now gotten rid of the tracking in me.
Is it?
Now you... Well, like, the bad guy, the traitor, then makes some gesture to prove that they're trustworthy, but they're still not trustworthy.
Right.
So she does this thing, and they're like, oh, fine, yes, great, come on, it's wonderful. Now that you're done murdering people, I think I would stop forgiving you, or not forgive, but I wouldn't trust you after your first murder. You only get one. Oh. I don't trust you anymore. If you were to murder Travis, I'd be like, whoa, like I might forgive you and I'll visit you in prison, but I'm not gonna trust you any. Like
that's probably fair. To be honest though, it's not like Picard really liked Maddox. Last time they interacted. It didn't.
It doesn't matter. It's still a murder. It can't just be. It's fine. You get one on the house. First one's free. You murder 2 people though. That's the line.
Yeah, and nobody else on board was part of this conversation with Picard in the first place.
Yeah.
And so they went from
she's a murderer and nope, she's back.
She's back.
It's fine. It's great. Yeah.
It was. Yeah. That's pretty. I was feeling that too. I was like, oh, okay, she'll be part of the crew. She earned her keep.
And then when they show up to the Deep Space 12, you know that they're going to have a reason to need to keep her. There's no way that she's just going to be like, okay, guys, I'm going to turn myself in now. Bye. No, they're going to be like, oh, we need her because she can unlock the.
We've really not needed
clone.
Her at any point, have we?
We've never needed her.
There's not.
She's been non-essential,
except for the murder.
Right. That's the sole exception.
Yeah.
And leading Narek to them.
Yeah.
Well, right.
But we're gonna need her. There's gonna be a reason for her not to turn herself in.
Absolutely. It's got to be.
She's gonna get off scot-free with this murder.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Poor Maddox.
Which begs the question: if there was one person in your life that you could murder for free, who would it be? Some random person.
So here's the real question. Given the option, would you murder someone or would you assimilate them?
I don't know. 7 had to,
she had to weigh
confront
that
that
quick.
Because, Rizzo goes on a shooting spree throughout the artifact, and then 7 connects to the Queen cell to activate the
we're just
board.
rolling right back in.
Yeah.
We got to move.
That was that was well done. Yeah. I thought he was just like remembering, but I was like, no, we're back on track.
Yeah.
Back on
that
track.
Was incredibly smooth.
Yeah, and then Rizzo orders them all to be jettisoned into space.
Why is that a button?
Because they build it. They talk about
it. They brought it up in a previous scene.
Like, how can we do this? And she's like, well, just get rid of them. And he's like, oh, we could modify this and jettison them into space. And she's like, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
What a gigantic letdown.
She becomes the Borg queen
and then
loses immediately.
It wasn't all of them, though.
I know. Yeah. She still had some of them because that's the next part of the scene, or that's the end of this little thing for this episode. But I'm picturing like this huge Borg army and like this, but nope, they're just
gone. Come together like Voltron.
Yeah, I thought it'd be some sort of
a big,
huge scene, but really she's got like
body.
6 dudes. That's what she gets out of this.
Sure. It works all right.
And they leave the cube. I guess there's probably a lot more, and they can. I don't know. It was disappointing. Quite a letdown for. I think how cool it could have been.
Wide scale. But I mean, you saw how many bodies got jettisoned there.
That was a lot.
That's
yeah.
You can imagine. The Borg are a force to be reckoned with.
Why are they put away like that?
On the tubes.
Yeah, why are they all?
That's like their I forget what they're called.
Just like hibernation chamber.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Like so, they don't need sleep. They don't need food. But they have to recharge there. And so there's just these charging stations.
So
basically.
most of the population of this cube was recharging at the time that they took over.
They lost connection with the Borg, and so they're just stuck basically.
Right.
Well, also, I mean, unless they're assimilating, they're like actively going out. Like, what are they doing on that cube? They're probably all like standing in place in those stations a lot, waiting until the.
So they're just like cryogenically frozen, sort of.
Like, not even. They're just standing there.
Well, I know, but they're just like being transported.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Fine. You've explained that one away. Fine.
It's just.
I'll accept that answer.
It's what it is. I did think the cube like repairing itself and stuff was cool. In other iterations, it was just kind of like magic fixing itself.
Yeah.
In this one, we got like the insect kind of looking things putting the cube back together.
Buzz droids.
I thought that was right. Very Star Trek in that, or Star Wars in that imagery. But yeah, it's just a little bit more context than we've seen in the Borg. It feels more on point with their design, and
7 can like really feel all their deaths as well. Seems like.
Yeah.
And then,
which isn't really something we've seen before.
A million voices cried out at once and was silenced.
Other examples of Borg queens, it didn't seem that devastating, and I don't know how much of her humanity she maintains or whatnot, but yeah.
And then, so the next scene we kind of already talked about at least Girardi's part of this, and how they forgive her, and then Raffi lays out everything that she knows about the Conclave of 8.
Now listen, 300,000 years ago, somebody drags 8 suns together. They hang a planet in the middle, and on this planet, they place a warning.
The Romulans call it the admonition.
This warning says, don't do what we did. We created synthetic life forms,
and they evolved. And it did not go well. At all.
Meaning? Apparently, these people believed there was a threshold of synthetic evolution, a dividing line.
Like with Zephyr Cochrane and warp drive, when you cross that line, somebody shows up.
Somebody really bad.
The Romulans, it seems, took this admonition very seriously. They created a group, the Zhat Vash, dedicated to finding and terminating all synthetic life.
There's a lot of exposition. There's a lot of exposition in this episode.
Yeah.
It was a lot of talking, so it feels like the plot moved forward a lot, even though we spent most of the time on the La Serena and
just talking,
and the cube a little bit.
Yeah,
but even on the cube, it was still a lot of talking.
Of talking. Yep. Not much. I think that this was straightforward, but when she got mad and like slammed the table, it should have bent the table.
It did. There's another scene where it's bent.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because I looked for it and I missed it.
The left side is like bent in, and like part of the mesh is caved in.
Well, they should have made it more obvious then, because I was looking for it. I was like, oh, it should have. And then on the second time I watched it, I was like, they should have done it. I didn't see it. Okay.
Yeah.
I take that back then. They just should have focused on it more, I guess.
Yeah, I was surprised. Like,
jeez. I need my handheld as a viewer. I need them to show me exactly what I need to see.
Yeah, I was surprised too that how much I had to pay attention to see the damage when typically it's just a fun thing. Like, she's an android. I want to see her be super strong. And, like,
yeah.
I want a zany scene where she's trying to pick up a mug and she crushes it instead. That's like, this is just rudimentary.
Like IG-11
cyborg.
learning how to.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see this. I want a scene of her testing her strength, right? Like, Jurati's like, how much can you bend? And so they're like replicating like titanium beams and stuff, and she
seems to not care about any special abilities she has. Just like, what makes you the most like me?
You drink water? Wow. Also, nobody's asked her yet. Of all these people that are asking her questions, nobody's asked, like, do you think you could have a baby? Because that seems like a interesting can of worms.
Well, that's an awkward question to ask on network television. Like, I don't want that conversation.
You've lost your humanity. Do you think you've lost the possibility of motherhood too?
I don't want that answer. I don't even.
Oh, get ready for season 2.
I don't even. Is there like a whole arc about Soji's
maybe
menstruation pattern? Like,
I wasn't going there.
Well, that's where that question goes.
She's been sleeping with Narek, though.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think we're going this direction remotely. But, like,
what's birth control like in the future?
What is birth control like?
Is there just like a switch?
Are the tests better than 1 line or 2 lines?
Are they more clear? Do you have to get a magnifying glass to see if there's a tiny shred of a little line there?
It should just say yes or no. That's all.
Or a little,
that's all
like,
anybody needed.
Alarm as soon as there's implantation, you get a notification on your phone. Like, oh man.
I think
pregnant.
the season finale, like the last thing we see is like her. She looks at Picard and she gets all teary eyed. She's like, "I'm pregnant." That's a great man. I'm in for season 2.
And then it's a show about Picard protecting this baby.
Right.
It's like Children of Men. Or Shoot 'em Up. Just any
Clive Owen
just any Clive Owen movie about him protecting babies.
Yeah. Picard gallivanting around and has to learn to love children.
Yeah, this android Romulan. Like, this is the bastard of the universe, basically. Do you have to beep that?
I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that one.
But it's in context, right?
Yeah, you're right. So that works.
Okay.
Like a literal bastard.
Yeah, he would literally, but not only like in terms of like his parentage.
Unless that was one of the ancient Borg rituals that was a wedding. They got married.
The ancient Borg ritual. This is just a ritual everywhere.
It was just a wedding.
Sleeping together. Anyway.
No, maybe they got married, and so he's not a bastard. That's what I was saying.
Maybe, but I don't think they get married. I'm going to be honest with you. Hot take. I don't think they get married.
They're not wed.
I think they're probably going to break
I'm going to take the other side.
But, like, he's half...
I bet they get married.
They have... Soji has a son. He's half synthetic, half Romulan. He's not welcome in Romulan culture because of that. The Romulan side of him is not welcome in Starfleet culture.
You would have to do a time jump.
That's the baby Spock we've been leading to.
But really though, he's lovable because he's like baby Data, which is...
And he's got the pointy ears.
Right. He's everything that we've needed to revitalize the Star Trek name.
They would have to do a time jump though to get anything out of that. And can you really make Patrick Stewart older?
I mean, they're testing their luck as it is. All right, let's bring this home.
Yeah. And then aboard the artifact, Rizzo is overrun by the Borg before she transports out and escapes, and then Seven disconnects herself from the cube.
That's a surprise. I thought we were going to go through an episode or 2 of this, of her like struggling with it.
Yeah.
Also interesting that she calls herself Annika.
Because the Queen calls her Annika.
Right, but...
Like, what part called her that?
Because we know... So, like, 7 of Nine's name as a human was Annika before she was assimilated.
Yeah.
And then throughout Voyager, they find out that her name is Annika early on, and yet she's always 7 of 9. But then at some point, presumably after they get back to the Alpha Quadrant, other people know her as Annika. So maybe she lived as that. Maybe that's just more common knowledge, I guess. But she's still going as 7 of 9. And then to disconnect from the Borg, she uses her human name that Annika still has things to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were trying to keep it from sounding messy, to be like 7 of 9 still has things to do. Because saying Annika has things to do definitely lays out, okay, the human has a mission still. But it was just notable to me because she's pretty much only ever gone as 7 of 9.
Mm-hmm.
And we've heard her called Annika a lot in this series.
She's 7 of 9 after the Borg, right?
Yeah.
So when she was assimilated, the Borg would know her as Annika.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they would have record of her as...
But they wouldn't know her as 7 of 9.
No, that is where she got her name.
That's her designation.
Mm-hmm.
Her 7 of
Borg
9.
is 7.
Yeah. Hugh was like 8 of 11 or something like that.
I think it was like 3 of 5.
Yeah, it's okay. But like that's how they're designated. Is they have like a unit that they are part of, and then they're a number of that unit. And so that's why she's 7 of 9, because she was...
I guess that, yeah. Okay. I did like, we got a little bit of Elnor, the Quat Malat way.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to assimilate me now?
Yeah.
That was funny.
I mean, I'm on board for a Borg, Elnor. It would be something
Elborg.
interesting.
Borgner.
He spends a lot of time like scared and like a child.
He didn't look scared though. He was like...
He did earlier in the episode.
Yeah, but when he asked her, he sort of looked...
kind of excited?
Nervous, but a little bit like, are we doing this? Are we doing this right now? Are you going to assimilate me? Let's do it. Come on.
Yeah. He's like, talk about a hopeless cause.
Yeah.
Sign me up. But, yeah.
That would be cool.
I thought maybe we'd get a little bit more of her struggling with that power.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
No.
Nope. We're just going to talk about how she might and then never allude to it again.
She could.
It's gone.
It could happen.
Could happen.
A lot of things.
It's gone.
Crazy world. A lot of smells.
It's her snake weed. She got a taste, and she's gonna be scratching her neck in the next episode.
Man, I could really go.
You got any more of that Borg Queen cell?
Oh yeah, basically.
You overrid the Borg Queen cell.
So then we get. Do we go back to La Serena at this point?
Yeah, that's the last scene is Picard and Rios. They share a lovely moment on La Serena. The two of them discuss Captain Vandermeer and how Starfleet failed them all and gave in to fear.
I hate that he died thinking it was really Starfleet that betrayed him. Betrayed itself.
But Starfleet did betray him. We did betray ourselves. Long before O gave Vandermeer that order. The ban itself was a betrayal. Oh, the Zhat Vash, they set the trap. But we could merely have sidestepped it. Instead, we gave way to fear.
It took her all of 5 minutes to hack my ship, Picard. And now, maybe there's a whole planet of them. Raffi said the Romulans called her the Destroyer. What if they're right?
They may be right about what happened 200,000 years ago. The past is written, but the future is left for us to write. And we have powerful tools, Rios. Openness, optimism, and the spirit of curiosity. All they have is secrecy and fear. And fear is the great destroyer, Rios, not...
We're there.
And then Soji arrives and guides them to the Borg hole thing.
The warp hole.
Yeah.
He does ask an interesting question, which I don't know if we talked about. I think that we did. But he's like, she hacked my ship in 5 minutes, and now we're going to go find a whole planet of these. Do we really want to do this?
Yeah.
And so we don't know what the Romulans know, what the Zhat Vash know. there is a chance that they're the good guys and Soji's the bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, but we've kind of known that she's the destroyer, quote unquote.
Right, but we're seeing the story from the Jatvash being the bad guys.
Yeah.
And it's clearly being shown to us that Soji's the good guy with the titular good guy character in Picard.
Yeah.
What if they switch it? And then Picard sees it and he's like, oh no, y'all gotta die.
My bad.
I've been mistaken this whole time.
I made a terrible mistake.
Yeah.
I think that could be where it's going, though, is we've already gotten, like, this husk of the Starfleet. Like, they're just not what they should be. It wouldn't be hard to poise them as truly villainous, even without the Jatvash.
I'm saying Soji's the bad guy.
Right. No, I know what you're... Right, I'm following. Like,
the Jatvash are the good guys.
Right.
Is that your mind being blown?
Oh my gosh.
So what about Starfleet? I don't...
No, I'm saying, like, outside of the Jatvash, we've seen Starfleet just not do well. Like, they stopped funding, or they stopped helping Romulus.
Right.
The lady that Picard keeps calling up just has disdain for him.
Clancy,
yeah. Like, I'm saying Starfleet on its own is already just shaky on where it stands.
Yeah.
So if the Jatvash are actually good, it wouldn't be hard to paint the picture well that Starfleet is villainous,
bad,
and Picard made a mistake.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really curious about this lore side of things. I don't know if we'll get it, but if it is lore is like Data's...
Lore Santeca?
No. Lore is Data's evil twin.
Were you ever this anxious to please, Data?
Never. I judge Lore to be superior in that desire. Because I was designed to be so human, my brother. I enjoy pleasing humans.
My brother? That has a nice sound to it, Data.
Which sounds very Days of Our Lives.
Yeah,
when you try to explain it like that.
Well, I mean, everything with Data, every time there was like a new, like once Lore was introduced, and then once they like said, oh, but Noonien Sung is still alive, and it's like, oh. Also, there was a mother. Also, there was this one called B4, and you're like, oh, okay.
B4. Ah. That's some serendipitous naming you got there. But, yeah, no, you're right. Now that I think... But, like, the evil twin brother is a particularly interesting...
Yeah.
But if he is the one helping Maddox... Because it's conceivable that Maddox was so consumed by his hubris that he would work with Lore to build an army.
He was obsessed with Data, so of course if he, like, found Lore, they'd be like, oh, this is... perfect.
Yeah, which would also mean that he's on the run from Starfleet because of that. You know, that's valuable information. And then you do have the one that survives, being the destroyer, fulfills the prophecy, and building an army. And so Soji gets fully activated. Or, I mean, what's really happening here is, like, Picard keeps confirming to her, oh yes, your story is right, and like how much he loves Data, but like they meet Data and it's Lore, and now she's conflicted because this is where she came from. This is her lineage, and Picard has done nothing but encourage her to delve into her lineage, and now he's like, oh no, I'm just kidding, not this guy, it's only if it's Data.
Yeah. Do you think if we meet Lore, he's going to, like, the audience and Picard are going to think it's some form of Data, and then it's going to be revealed that it's Lore?
I
like later, like there's a turn where he's like, I've been Lore the whole time. And
I hope we get a Logan-style betrayal where Lore just presses his into Picard's and it's just shot for shot the exact same thing as what happens in Logan. It's
spoilers.
I mean, go watch Logan. Like, what have you been holding out on?
I don't want to see it.
You don't want to see Logan?
Yeah, I have no interest.
You should. James Mangold's a really good director.
It's better than. It's better.
He's directing Indy 5, and I'm so like everybody else was like, "What? No Spielberg?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is like so exciting." I was way more excited by that than like the idea of Spielberg directing Indy 5.
Logan is a way better movie than it has any right to be. And it's not like a superhero movie,
but it is.
It has superhero characters in it, but
it's a western.
It's a western.
Who is Logan?
Wolverine.
Is Wolverine a superhero?
Not really. He's an X-Men.
Okay. All right.
Do you have to bleep out?
No.
Okay. Jeez.
But I will, and it'll sound like you're saying something else.
Anyway, that's the turn of events I think is going to happen. I think I that's what I hope happens. As a Star Trek fan, I would feel very vindicated if they went this direction. They know the lore. They know the story arcs, and like they resolve things that we just have never gotten an answer to in a way that's really satisfying. That's clever storytelling. The only drawback I think would somebody like Joel know or care who Lore is?
Would I care?
Would it?
Nope.
Ah, dang it. Would it matter to you at all if we make it to this planet and sitting on a big throne is Data?
Is an evil Data?
Yeah.
No.
Would it be like somebody watching Rise of Skywalker, having not seen like the other like movies with the Palpatine in it, and be like,
right.
Who's this guy?
He'd be like only ever seeing the sequels, and then having the villain be who is this guy?
I'm your grandfather, but really, not really grandfather. It was a clone of me who was my son. So
it's just me.
It's really no relation to you whatsoever.
It's weird. Just trust me.
Just let me have your body.
Just kill me. I wouldn't care. I don't know. It would seem.
It wouldn't feel like a plot twist.
Forced. Like
Okay.
you saying it seems like it could be reason. If I had watched Star Trek, it'd be like, oh wow, that sounds cool. But if they pull that, it'd be like an evil Data.
let's just have Joel watch all the lore episodes so that he's all set up for.
I mean, the lore episode. Well,
just so that like we have all these expectations now.
I don't have time. I gotta watch Better Call Saul.
Got it.
Some episodes dropping.
And you need to watch Logan.
That's not gonna happen.
It needs to happen. You gotta. Anyway.
It's crazy to me that Mangold directed the Wolverine and Logan, because the Wolverine is better than the first one, but it's still like when you compare the two, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's true. Wolverine's better than I was afraid it would be.
Mm-hmm.
But Logan is actually like a.
I think I saw that
film.
one. That's where they have the sequence where he goes through all of the wars fighting.
No.
That would have been the first
X-Men
one.
Origins.
Yeah, X-Men Origins Wolverine's terrible.
That is
it's the
a
worst.
dumpster fire.
Yeah.
What's the one with like the Japanese assassin?
That's the Wolverine.
Then I've seen that one too. See, they're the same movie to me though. I thought it was the same.
And to be honest, all of those pale in comparison to Logan. It stands alone.
I had people tell me Interstellar was a good movie.
This is true, but I didn't tell you Interstellar was a good movie.
You told me Knives Out was a good movie.
It was a good movie.
Was it?
It is a good movie.
Yeah, it's really good. Ford v Ferrari is a really good one too.
I've heard
which
that.
Mangold directed.
Not seeing it.
Oh.
My father-in-law told me, Ryan's dad told me that Ford versus Ferrari was great. He's the one that told me Interstellar was amazing.
Yeah.
So I no longer trust his opinion on movies.
That's why me and Ryan's dad are best buds.
They both liked it.
Interstellar. And where do you stand on Griswold Christmas?
Oh, it's good. I mean, I grew up like watching it a lot, but I think as time has grown on, I've kind of like I'm like, all right, it's like overhyped now to where I'm like, it's not Jingle All the Way, guys. Okay, so
I'm not a pervert. I just was looking for Turboman doll.
Yeah, that Jingle All the Way has aged really well.
Oh, yeah.
By comparison. But anyway,
it's a fine wine.
Next week on Star Trek Picard.
Yeah, so in the meantime,
they're gonna talk some more.
We got lots
in
of
various locations.
exposition. I mean, dude, get ready. If Lore is part of this, you're gonna get so much exposition. They're gonna talk so much before he shows up. They're gonna have to have a whole scene with Soji where Picard starts to like talk about like the two sides of the coin, and like they're gonna have some sort of analogy, and it's gonna.
They did say last episode it really doesn't make sense. She says, "How could I be Data's daughter?"
I was made 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So it could.
I'm also just an advocate in general that the Deus Ex Machina character that we're introduced to and that should be lovable is introduced as a memorable piece of the franchise should always be evil. Because I think Baby Yoda should be evil. I think way too many people have jumped on board. I'm going Sith, but maybe that's just my tendency. I want to take the thing that you love and run it into the ground. Anyway,
Jar Jar's a Sith. You know that.
That has never been confirmed.
Oh yes, it has been. It's. I'm convinced.
Convinced is very different than proven. Do you have what is Picard's line earlier?
Is this theory?
Theory or fact?
It's fact.
Based on what?
It's fact. We don't have to go into it now.
I read in a book that he became a clown on Naboo after the war.
What?
That is his official...
Yeah, that is what happened to him.
That's his official... yeah.
He, like, entertains children now.
Just to throw him off the scent of him being a Sith.
But, yeah, speaking of Star Wars, the Clone Wars
Another
is back.
good tie-in.
Yeah, and we're covering the last season of that, covering every episode leading up to the official series finale. So look for weekly episodes of that on this podcast feed, where Alex and I are covering that. And this week we'll be discussing Unfinished Business, which is the final episode in the Bad Batch arc. And you can also find this podcast on Twitter as @WhoWatchesPod, on Instagram and on Facebook. And episodes of this show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and any podcatcher of your choice. And we are also on YouTube. I feel like a lot of people are using YouTube now. Not a whole lot else to do. So just give us a look, subscribe, leave us some reviews.
Wash your hands.
Yeah, wash your hands.
No hugs.
No hugs.
Don't visit your grandma this week.
Unless you're bringing her groceries.
Just leave them at
the door. But then leave them at the door.
Yeah.
After you wash your hands.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll be sure to do all that, and
and we are foregoing the cast hug to wrap the recording.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
We're not going to do that anymore.
Cast hug, yeah.
We usually sit much closer when we record, but we're more spread out.
Yeah, the leg room was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good change of pace.
So until next week, we'll be setting course for season 1.
If we're still here.
Oh yeah, we'll see.
Right. Tune in next week to find out if we
here at
survived.
all.
Because that'll be, the top of everyone's priority.
Who knew when we started this podcast that Patrick Stewart would outlive me? I was so concerned about him, I forgot to watch out for myself.
Oh no, that's how they get you.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you. All right, that's all. You can shut us down.
Get us out of here.
All right, so set course for season 1, episode 9, Et in Encardia Ego, part 1, Warp 9, engage.
That only took 2 takes?
Yeah, I have no idea what I just said.
I don't know what you said.
Scotty, we need more speed. I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. She can't take any more. Damn. Chekhov, reroute auxiliary power to the helm. Scotty, the bridge. Captain, this is a little embarrassing, but I've never noticed the little lever I've been pushing. It's only about 2/3 of the way up. I actually can give her more. That's great, Scotty. Mrs. Spock, give us readings on... Captain, Scotty again. Yeah, you're not going to believe this. There is another lever here, too. The ship can literally go 3 times as fast. I'm sorry, I feel like such a capital J jerk right now. It's okay, Scotty. Lieutenant Uhura, open all channels for... Captain, I've got to interrupt again. I've just been thinking about this giving her all she's got thing. I mean, I've been completely wrong for years now. I feel terrible. I mean, think of how many crises we've been in where the issue was how fast we could go. I mean, I'm sorry, Captain.
Scotty, it's okay.
No, it's not. Eric's dead. At the funeral, I literally said the words to his wife. I was giving her all she's got.
Scotty, it's fine. Sulu, lock phasers.
Captain, I just got to jump in here. We don't have enough dilithium crystals to run the phasers. I've lost all credibility, haven't I?